What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, RAF ESPARZA, coming to you with another great installment of The Bullpen, a joint venture between Inside BJJ and The Grappling Hour. And you know what's great about this show? A lot. We just got back from Vegas, and we're doing another episode this week for your viewing and entertainment pleasures. But I guess what's really good to know is things can't stop us. Flight delays can't stop us. Tires in the middle of the fucking freeway can't stop us. Tim and I have both returned home safely, and I'm happy to tell you he is on the other side of this conversation. Tim Freeman, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, and you're right. Hard to kill. You got to be like the Undertaker. Gout had me down. Hematomas on my shin had me down. And like the Undertaker, I resurrected and got through it. Whirlwind trip to Las Vegas. Got in yesterday out of my mind. I was just walking through the airport. It's 6 a.m. and I'm like, you know what? I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I should have McDonald's. And I was just eating. I was just stuffing food in my face because I didn't know what was going to happen next. I was in such a daze. I finally made it home, crashed out, woke up again, and here we are, baby. Let's go. We had a great time, and I can't wait to chat about it with you.
I'm glad you say it like that because I also had McDonald's food. And when I go, I normally get like a cheap double McDouble, and then they have a meal where it's a McDouble. You get some nuggets, 4 nuggets, and some fries and a drink. And I think that's great, but Vegas doesn't play like that. They immediately were just like, we don't have those. Order something else. And I was like, I don't want to order something else. So for the first time in what felt like must have been a decade, I ordered a quarter pounder with cheese. Maybe a double. I'm not sure. But I know that because it was so greasy, my stomach was like, no, that was a bad choice, Raph. So I think McDonald's, while it didn't get the best of us, it definitely didn't make me feel any more or less good, one might say. But by the end of the experience, I thought, yeah, that's why I only get the McDouble and the McValue meal, because anything else is probably just going to kill your stomach at this point. Very sad to report, Kevin is not joining us today, but he will be back, I believe, with us sometime next week. And as you may or may not know, we now have 2 cadences. There's the Tuesday show and the Friday show. Tuesday's show is going to be more PGF oriented. So even though we just came from the PGF, we will talk a little bit about that. But for a comprehensive draft sort of recap, we'll do that on Tuesday. Today, there's just too many things to discuss. So why don't we actually look directly at the board so we can kind of start making some headway through some of the biggest headlines throughout the week in the world of jiu-jitsu. Let's start with this, though. Yes, it was a big week for the PGF. There was the draft that happened on Wednesday, and there was so much that happened, Tim. I rewatched the whole draft, but for you, I wanted to ask you, what are your first impressions for all things Season 8 of the PGF world?
I would say my main impression is that this is going to be like one of those fight night cards where you don't recognize very many names on the card, but you watch it anyway, and all 5 matches are bangers. There's not a dull match on the card. These guys, they're all pretty damn excited in terms of energy and enthusiasm and the will and the ego to show out at a draft. I felt like this draft had the most. These guys came in, they all had something to say. They were definitely paying attention, despite Jordan Worth saying he would do it for free. The first words that came out of his mouth were, I wish I would have got a few more bids. Like, these guys they're paying attention to their numbers, and they're going to correlate that to how they do. And at the end of the season, there's going to be some trash talk. So I think that this is going to be one of the most tension-filled, involved seasons that we have. All the athletes seem like they are all in for this. They're making tremendous sacrifices because it's once a week to stay in Vegas. I think it's going to be very focused. We're going to be surprised. I think it's going to be a really good season.
Let me walk you through some of my first impressions. I think the first thing that kind of stands out to me is now that the draft is done, there's a month gestation period before we actually get to the matches. I'm already seeing it come alive in the group chat, but normally that group chat in seasons past, especially the seasons we've been involved with, they're just getting set for day one after the draft. Now they get that whole month period to really go after each other, and there's a lot of bickering. There's a lot of youth energy in that group chat. And I think that's the best way to describe it, because it's not really what one person would call coherent in the way that they're all talking to each other. It's all like a lot of sentence fragments. If you ever notice the way the ADH people talk is, there's not necessarily a connection to the conversation. It's almost like two people having two different conversations that maybe crisscross for a half second, but have no actual transition language. It's just, hey, do you like bears? I actually was thinking about ordering the pay-per-view this weekend too. No. Not the same topic. But I'm glad you both are speaking loudly and very confidently. Having said that, you know, BMAC has just given them, right as we're talking right now, a Word document, a PDF that will walk them through strategies on how to do better. So that is actively happening in the group chat. My other first impression is this. Money changed the game for these guys. There was a lot at stake here, not just pride. And I want to make a bold declaration. I want you on the screen for this one, Tim. There was a moment that may have been the most controversial moment in all of PGF draft history. I don't know the history as well as, say, Egg does, but I know it pretty well. That moment was when you had the athletes offering to give up some of the money that they were paid in order to get a talent when a coach was essentially priced out. And I thought long and hard about it. You know, I had a whole drive home to really sit and process this information, because Brandon McCatherine at first gave the thumbs up. And then, after some very pointed discussions, said, yeah, I think you're right. I have to say we're going to redo that part of the draft. I think he should have stuck with it. But I understand why he didn't. And the technicality as to why he didn't, in my brain, works like this. It wasn't in the rules. If it had been in the rules, I think Team New Hope would have probably taken that into consideration for their hold the line, we want this guy now sort of a strategy. But I beg to venture that, think of it like this. If LeBron James wants a teammate, sometimes they give up some of their salary to get that team. The one thing that does afford you is that if you are the one saying, I want to take out of my salary to give this person, it puts a lot more of the emphasis on the players. Now, we don't have like a players union or collective bargaining or any of that stuff. So right now the power really lies with the coaches. This was one of the few times where the athletes basically stepped up and said, I'd like to see this happen. And at first people said, yeah, why not? Now, I think if you build that into the rules, and maybe you don't want to, but if you build that into the rules, I think next year you have to let that play. I think it changes the game and it adds for elements of surprise. And I don't even know that they go for it, but I'm so hard pressed to believe that if Ohtani wanted to have somebody on the Dodgers and he said, give up part of my cash for my new interpreter, gambling operator, interpreter, the Dodgers would do it in a heartbeat. So I wonder how long that exists in this world, and if there's a compelling enough case where somebody says, no, I do want to get my money. And who's to say they don't do that on the side outside of it anyways? We've already seen what happens when the athletes themselves decide to have a pact, like they're going away to sleepover camp, and they pinky promise each other that it's going to be $10K each. So I think it's a little bit shift of perspective that if you let it happen in the foreground, maybe it doesn't happen as much in the background behind the scenes.
Yeah, potentially you're right. It was a really interesting move, and it jumped out to me when Mika Sapili pulled that move, and got away with it, and then it got reversed. Right? Maybe the solution is to do something like this. Every team gets a base of $15,000 that comes from the PGF. We provide that base, and then the coaches can raise up to $100,000 of however they get it, however they want it, whatevs. We don't care, but you could show up with that money to draft your team. And if you show up with a flush 100 G's and Canado drives up in his bucket and he's only got 32 G's, then that's on him. Right? This is the game. I would venture to say it wouldn't take long. All 4 teams would have a maxed out $100,000 bank account.
Sure.
Put a cap on it.
Yeah.
Just like they do in pro sports.
I hear you. I don't know that coaches are going to be that competitive. Like, I feel like Andy was competitive with the monopoly money he was given to represent the real money, because they are getting real money. So they are really getting that price point that they get. But if you told Andy Varela you ran out of money and he goes, yeah, but what if I want to volunteer at my local library? Would that count as getting a little bit of money in advance? No, Andy Varela, that's not how that works. I heard them starting to come up with creative ways to do it. And like I said, my sympathy for New Hope was just that it wasn't in the rule book. But I really think had you put that in the rule book, it just would have had to have played. And it was the first time JJ Bowers was the person who was conspiring. Jet Thompson was conspiring. So here's a kind of thought that I want to put in everybody's head that we can revisit a little bit later, which is I want everybody to look at that deal, because I think that deal may have some implications on teams and their win-loss records, potentially their points. And I want us to look and examine Juan and his point score, because what if that doesn't make a difference? I am so intrigued to see if it makes a difference in the way where it burns the people who went after him and didn't get him, meaning Mika, or if it burns New Hope. Because that is also a big gamble on their side to say, no, we want to run that back. What if on the off chance Juan doesn't get a return on investment? So now you run the risk of having a higher stakes. You know, he wasn't just somebody who sold for X many dollars. Now he's a person who could have swayed part of the team one way or another. So that's going to be something that I think we're going to have to come back to later in the season as we're following the points. And listen, if Juan does as well as he's done in other areas and he gets a gangbuster amount of points, then it was all for something. But what if it doesn't? And then that pressure now that's on Juan, that pressure that's on that team, what if Juan doesn't deliver and Mika dodged a bullet there? So a lot of moving parts that now you see it play out in front of you, and it is all part of the strategy game. So there is going to be an extra element of finesse as a result of this one decision. So we will come back and we'll put a bookmark on that. But I did want to tell you, Tim, I felt like I don't want to give away everything I'm going to say on Tuesday about our full recap. But if I had to pick an MVP, I would have picked Stephen Aiken. I feel like that draft lives and breathes with his charm, because it takes a certain personality to get the best out of people. And I feel that a lot of people can be an auctioneer, but it takes a certain personality to quell and know when to make a joke and know when to be serious. Like, is that a real bid? You've only got X many seconds. And I think it is an unspoken, gentle, smart dude that's able to pull that off. And again, a lot of it is just that little Southern hospitality, if you would, that makes sure it all runs nicely and smoothly, but poignantly. And we were able to make that thing run very efficiently. And go to think that we almost didn't have him. Like, he came together at the last minute. I just don't see a draft without that guy. Like, I think Steven is a critical part of that draft structure.
Yeah, I do too. And it doesn't hurt him that he could kick your ass at the same time. Like, he's Southern, he's got the charm, he's gentle, but if you step up to him, he can put his mitts on you and make you pay the price.
Tim says this because he has been attacked by Stephen Aiken, and that's like Stephen Aiken going rogue. Like, that's when you don't have any kryptonite on you and Superman just decides to plow through a few people for funsies. You go, this might be a bad thing. So let me say this. It is 2-1 odds that he does well this year. So, Egg, you're speaking in statistical probability of him doing well, which bodes well. I'm telling you what if. And that what if has a very important element here, because other people have not delivered in the past, and maybe it kind of had some implications on their team. This was two teams where one dude did an interview with Alex Wendling saying, how does it feel on Team Micah? Amazing. Just kidding. Let's run it back. Now, how does it feel to be a part of Team Drysdale? Also still amazing. Like, what else are you going to say? But to me, having those back to back, I think can potentially be a replayable future. And as Egghead very quickly reminded everybody else, the next pick, Brady, didn't get affected, but there could have been a little bit of a domino effect here. Fortunately, we bypassed that, but there is one critical component that did change. So I think statistically, odds on favorite Juan does well and maybe some good money spent. But let's say this. If Dom Lobo gets 2 submissions and Juan gets 1, where do we stand on money invested? Like, where are we going to be on that one? So I want to put that in everybody's ear, because draft is one thing. After July 23rd, all of that goes away, because then we start seeing results. And then once we see those real numbers, we're going to see very quickly if J.J. Bowers is able to back up that number 2 status as one of the highest sought after commodities on the draft. But that's food for discussion on Tuesday's episode. And I agree. Stephen Aiken is a critical part of the PGF period. Absolutely. An effortless charm into whatever it is he does. But I don't get to say how good he is at the draft any other week. He's obviously very good as an announcer, as an interviewer. But I really feel going forward, he has to be a crown jewel for that draft format. I think, like, before even booking me, and I say that as somebody who will never downplay my importance, I think that Steven plays a incredibly critical role, and I want to make sure he gets his props for what he does in that realm. So props to you, Stephen Aiken. Let's move on. I've said so many nice things that it means I have to move on. We now go to this, UFC BJJ. I wanted to take a minute here, Tim, to go over the good, the bad, the ugly, because let's face it, not all of it was good. Not all of it was bad. And there were some parts that were undeniably ugly. So I thought for this segment, I would give you, Tim, time on the clock to address one for each. Give me one good, give me one bad, and give me one ugly of the UFC BJJ experience thus far in.
Okay, good. I gotta say, anytime I'm seeing jiu-jitsu guys get paid, that's good. I'm happy for those guys. Very happy for Andrew Tackett. The kid is doing great things. I'm super stoked for him. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. Congrats to Keith, all those guys. That's all good. The bad is the UFC is like the rich kid who gets Fortnite when you get Fortnite, and you have to earn all the ups and the skins and the bonuses. And this fucking dude goes to his grandma who opens her bank account, and he spends $600 on day one and has the whole kit, the whole thing, everything set up. That's what UFC BJJ felt like. It's like, hey, we're going to start by taking all the good ideas and act like they are ours. So that's rough to see, to be honest. Some of the things that they said, like, come on, man, you guys are inventing lore now that all these new people are going to see and they're going to believe. Not happy about that. That's lame. The ugly. I think I would be remiss if I did not mention, and this is low hanging, but damn, you give Mikey his first belt. This is his jiu-jitsu dream, to be the UFC champion. I bet he practiced this speech in front of the mirror. He's like, and then you give him this belt that is a monstrosity. It looks like you 3D printed the belt. It looks like a bolo tie made of brass and a croc made love, and then this is what came. Like, what is this thing? This is like a help. This looks like a headgear. This is like the new Taekwondo headgear that you have to strap around your head this is the new NFL concussion preventer headpiece. Like, what is this thing? What is it? I don't know what it is. It's ugly. It's fugly, Raph. It's not just ugly. It's fugly.
All right. Well, you took your crack at it. I'll come back for mine in a second, because full disclosure, there's no way this doesn't make my ugly. Like, I don't know how to tell you guys, surprise at the very end of it. That's the ugly, but that's I
knew you were going to pick that. I'm sorry, but
everybody did, but it's what the people want. Egghead said ugly belt. And what I like is Egghead is very succinct with his language skills, one might say. But this is the economy of words. It's so ugly, he didn't even want to put any other words around it. No adverbs, no any of that bullshit. Just literally ugly noun belt. That's what you need to know about that. Let me go to the good first. Good. The numbers are good. I can't lie about that. I feel that the actual program itself, the UFC BJJ series, it is under discussion whether it was inflated, because some of the trends don't necessarily match up. I think that is where they're probably spending most of the money. So I feel like the money they saved going on the cheapest date possible, otherwise known as bowling, as part of the team bonding, I think gives them more ad dollars to spend to make sure it is just spammed continuously, so that if you do watch for 30 seconds, it does count as a view. But I want to remind people there is a difference between viewers and view. View just means some entity watched for 30 seconds. So we're not quite clear on what this all means. And later, I believe it was Stephen Tecchi that wrote out they hit over 3.6 million views. Anyway, you cut that. I'm happy to see jiu-jitsu excel. So that is the unqualified good. And if that is where they are spending the money, it gives a lot of exposure to Tackett, to Varela, to Keith, to Mr. I'm sorry, I respectfully don't know your name still, Harrison, and I guess to Mikey. But primarily, a lot of our friends got some play, and I'm very happy for that. And let's stay on that positive and send that off in a ship, because the discussion on contracts is still intriguing to me. Because some people like Craig seem to say, oh, well, Fionn built it into her contract that she can do whatever she likes. But hearing now that UFC BJJ athletes cannot do CJI, it also means that they're going to be so exclusive to that organization, it's going to cost us who we can see. And I feel like we may not necessarily see it at this CJI, because it's pretty loaded with stars. But you're seeing the split even now. Some people who were in discussions for the PGF were at AIGA. That just happens every once in a while. But when people start telling us, hey, I really wish this person would be here, well, there's only so many opportunities, so many dates, and so many schedules. So yeah, I would love for us to always have the top tier thing. But I feel like the bad for the UFC in terms of, how do I put this? a white person going to a cookout and bringing the potato salad. Tim seasoning a chicken versus me seasoning a chicken, if you get where I'm going here. I feel like the UFC doing that is affording the beautiful and very delicate characters that exist within the PGF to really shine. So I'm all about that. So it means there's space for everybody. You could have great jiu-jitsu, maybe kind of a boring personality. There's a home for you. If you have both, you can come to the PGF. Just saying. And if you really want to be super boring and maybe not seen, but still like incredible production value, you can go to AIGA. So there's a little bit of everything. And of course, Craig wants to position himself as the Super Bowl of the sport. So I can see that. And I will concur. The good is Egg saying, seeing PGF alumni and PGF clips on the show. I can get behind that as well. But I wanted to qualify that with something a little bit more realistic here. And I want to now take the time. I'm resetting the clock because, listen, I didn't get to do this on Tuesday or Wednesday. We had too much show. So what I would like to do now is I'm putting up this monstrosity to try and bring some sort of understanding of what it is I'm looking at. I wrote these jokes on Tuesday to Wednesday. So I definitely want it to have a home, but it's a little less urgent. Here's why. I want you to take a look at this championship. It is for jiu-jitsu, and it's said with the utter kind of urgency of like, oh man, I really hope there's a belt. Wait, is that it? Oh no. I take it back. I hope there is another belt that maybe you could do. That's definitely a belt. I just want to say, what in the name of AI is going on here? It's like they couldn't agree to one logo, so they gave you 7. It looks like the same people who made the Dwayne Wade statue were commissioned to make the UFC BJJ belt. This looks like if somebody tried to draw the AIGA logo from memory and gave up halfway. And I'd say that AIGA should sue, but I don't think they want to be affiliated to this in any way, shape, or form. This shit looks like there is a dodgeball trapped in the middle of it. It looks like a condom that Optimus Prime puts on for safe robot sex. Okay, he's responsible. And listen, there's no better way to pay homage to the contribution that Brazilians have made in our sport than to put their name in 6-point font in the tiniest region of the belt. Can you see it? Do you think that's by mistake? It's literally just like UFC Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, just barely in this bitch. And what I wanted to say Tuesday or Wednesday, but we were busy, was, listen, you still have the time to ugly Sonic this. You don't have to give out this monstrosity. And I thought that maybe we could have prevented a forest fire here. But instead, we're looking at the exact thing that they gave. And yes, this thing is chaotic. It has a belt in the middle of it that's tied. It's in a triangle inside of an enigma, inside of a prison. It looks like something Lord Zed puts on right before he gets it on with Rita Repulsa. Like, this is some shit that just concerns me. Anyway, I wanted better. This was ugly. You still have time to fix it. Literally, just get a fucking trophy that you get for a fantasy football league and just give them that. We don't have to go crazy.
Yeah.
Like, whatever this is, I don't feel happy having to do this, but I have to because I want it to be heard and maybe picked up. This ain't it. So that in the future, if you're looking at other things, this thing, no, something else. That's what I have to say about that. Good Lord, Tim. You know what? It was so ugly, the board went away.
It's real bad, dude. It looks like Fisher Price went on an ayahuasca trip. It's bad, man. It does look like a deflated dodgeballs in the middle. That piece, that rubber piece. And then the belt, the black belt, that's like crafted like a triangle. It's bad, dude.
It's so many flawed ideas is the best way to put it, that it does make you appreciate simplicity and the subdued nature of other belts that literally just say, we're not trying to be that, you guys. So
how pissed would you be if you won this belt, though? Like, this is your belt, you won it, here's your belt. Like, even show it off.
Oh, I would wear it very proudly, but I would inside still be very hurt by the effect of it. So there is that. Hey, by the way, do you know that AIGA is going down this weekend? A lot of people don't. Right now, we'd like to take a minute and just tell you why this is kind of an interesting thing. Tim, why did you text me this? You texted me
like
something.
A failed prototype. It's a prototype belt. It's the one that didn't make it to the cut.
Wait, no, I didn't know you sent an actual belt.
That was Musamichi's first belt. Yeah, that was the one Musamichi wanted.
So you think this would have been a better one, or it was the initial prototype? Like they based it
No,
off
it was just the initial prototype one. Yeah. He wore it around for 6 weeks, and then Dana's like, "Nah, we gotta get something nicer for the kid."
This is why I love that there is an open line of communication. When I get a text, I go, "Why is he texting me? He's on the show with me. He can just tell me what he thinks." Oh, it's got to be good. Tim, I'm going to put time on the clock. I need you to tell me why people need to or not need to tune in to AIGA this week. Your time will begin now.
Yeah, so, $1 million in prizes for AIGA. Total prize, man, $1 million, $500,000 going to first place. And what's kind of cool is they're doing like almost like a golf open style or a any kind of circuit style, where usually the first 5 or the first 10 guys or the first 3 guys make some money, with first place taking the lion's share. So 500 G's go to the first place winner, 300 to second, 200 to third. That's not bad. Take third place, walk away with 200 G's. Like, that's not bad at all. It's a team-based event. There's several rosters. Look, I can't tell you who's on every team. I can't do it. Their production value, people have been saying that it's good. The challenge is it's just really hard to even know when this stuff is going to happen. But definitely tune in, because they're going to give some serious coin away. It will be an entertaining event. And it's taking place 20th, 29th. I believe it's in Kazakhstan. I think it's like on the other side, man. But it should be some good grappling. I don't know, Raph, what's going to happen with all these promotions. Like, they're generating money and they're doing big things, but they don't quite have the buzz or all of the names or even the ability to build the stories. So we will see.
Okay. Egg, this is a criminally offensive note to get, which is, where do you watch AIGA? I don't know. So AI responds to watch AIGA, which, by the way, I didn't even know what it stood for. It says the Amateur International Grappling Association, which, rough. I'm not going to call fucking Johnny Grippo an amateur after he was on the pro version of UFC BJJ. And also it begs the question, why can you appear on one of these? And it's so weird. I don't know what any of this means. Having said that, you can find AIGA content, including highlights, on their YouTube channel. So let's see. I think the guess is it's trying to tell you flow, because the last stuff they streamed was 9 months ago, and that was the trials process, and it had multiple mats going on. So
I think it's going to be on YouTube this time.
You know what? This is why I don't like this question, because it makes me so angry. I have to look it up on air as opposed to going to the next one.
Another imitation
hold
grappling
on.
attempt.
Hey Siri,
JK,
where is AIGA airing? I don't know. I'm too busy doing literally anything else. Well, thank you. I mean, it's very sassy. I tried.
Yeah.
Egg. You saw me do it. Yeah, it doesn't. You would think that AIGA would be the first thing up here, and it does not seem to be on the schedule for Flow Grappling. So maybe it is on their YouTube. Maybe they're just trying to get the same numbers. Maybe that's the whole thing. It's a race for YouTube at this point. The one thing that I feel I have in common with BMAC always and forever is that we agree there needs to be some component on YouTube no matter what. Like whatever you're trying to do, you want to build it bigger, you need people to see on YouTube. So yes, pay structure is the way that we are currently monetizing things. But like for real, the NBA is going to be on NBC again. The NBA, which is substantially bigger than us. And the way they keep people is they have a free component.
Yeah.
You point this out, but you said it's a bit of an issue for their marketing department. You would think they would let you know where to watch. Yeah, but you know what, dude? I don't think they care.
He thinks they have a marketing department.
Sucker. This dude thinks they have like a COO or a CFO. We're like, nah, bro. Let's just spend money on jiu-jitsu. And
they have a subscription to Canva. That's their marketing department.
I think we're not on their radar for their target audience. I think they figure other organizations have the foothold here and that theirs is for their own market out that way. And that getting all these American stars to essentially be on it is a way of usurping that and just cutting the line. Because if you already have our best stars on there, why do you need to make an American market? They'll find it on YouTube later on highlights. So, and they'll talk about it if there's some really cool thing that happens. So maybe that's why I don't care. But literally they threw money at that trials process that was here last year. And the production brain in me was like, that's a lot of money they're spending here. And maybe to them, it's not as big. But to me, that was a lot of money. We move now to informing you the latest on the Craig Jones Invitational. Craig Jones recently platformed, it looked like Tom DeBlas with Alex Wendling to get an idea of why 1FC is coming together. But you're noticing a lot of harmony between all these different organizations, including PGF, 1FC, One Grappling. Everybody's saying, yeah, we can play in each other's world. Like One Grapplers can come do CJI. PGF people are more than welcome to go to the Craig Jones Invitational if they got the call up, I believe. But I feel there is just this kind of thing, which is if the UFC is going to play hardball and they have a distinct advantage, then all these other organizations, you're going to see them team up like the fucking Super Friends. So get ready for that. But other than that, what do you feel about this Craig Jones going on a seminar tour, and why do you think he's doing that? Is it to kind of drive up the interest on the door-to-door neighbor sort of promotion scale, Tim? Is that what you think he's doing?
Yeah, I think he did this last time in the months leading up to CJI. He was a little more secretive last time because CJI was going to be the first thing that he was going to do. And there was a different enemy that he was fighting. We remember then it was ADCC, UFC BJJ, as far as we know, wasn't even on the map yet. And he took a little trip, went overseas, and he did a bunch of cool stuff, came back with a sack of cash. I wouldn't be surprised if Craig makes a visit to the Ukraine and comes back with some of those Biden bucks. And I'm not against it. I say, hey, man, let's pay these athletes. But he's running around doing the tour. I think, he's smart. He's drumming up interest. He's getting content. He's doing funny stuff. And he's going to get enough material out there that they'll be able to start seeding social media and building up a buzz and all of those things. Craig seems like he's chaotic and random, but he's doing something right. Like he can fill up an arena. Can he do it every month? That's yet to be seen, but we know he can do it one event at a time right now. So I think it's the hottest thing going in jiu-jitsu. I think it's kind of the state of the art right now. He's pushing the edge of all things, and more power to him. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. It is interesting that the UFC has become the evil empire of sorts in the jiu-jitsu world. And all of these organizations are starting to clump up together. They're going to war, man. And a lot of these places, they can't take on the UFC on their own. We might see some companies combine or fold altogether, but that's the way it's gonna go. There's no getting around that.
Can I
That's
point
actually
this
one
out?
of the necessary growing pains. Yes, sir.
The more you're saying it like that, the more I think of it as they're showing more unity than the so-called monopoly UFC for the MMA context. Hear me out here, people. I'm not saying the Ewoks won anything per se in the grand saga, but when they had enough Ewoks throwing rocks at some of these stormtroopers, they did take down some of them. I feel like those Ewoks are us in grappling.
Yeah.
Like we united and we said, oh yeah, well, let's come together and throw some rocks at the UFC so we can win this one little battle. Meanwhile, they're winning everywhere else. Like in MMA, they're just crushing. Other people in MMA have maybe tried to come together and make some stuff happen. Nobody cares. But because now the UFC is the new kid on the block on the jiu-jitsu side, it is interesting to see some of these other people playing ball and saying, yeah, ONE FC says you can come and play at Craig Jones Invitational. And I'm intrigued by that because I started thinking about this when I realized that Canuto gets the next crack at Mikey, where I said, oh, damn, that means we don't get a Canuto at a CJI. And that to me is kind of a loss because I go, man, he's really entertaining. And when he's on, those are fire matches. So that is unfortunate on that side, but it might be the way of the future. So I guess what I'm saying to you guys in this world is if you really want to make an impression and you are working in the jiu-jitsu landscape, it's not bad to have some alliances right now because sooner than later, they're going to take your top talent. Yeah. And if they take your top talent, you might have done all the heavy lifting for them. You might have shown they have character. You might have shown they have good jiu-jitsu. You might not get the benefit of saying you launched them, but you better believe there were 20 organizations that put up photos of Andrew Tackett and were like, we're so proud of you, but also go back and watch us on replay if you could. That'd be great. So, okay, there be that. Let's move down to this. And I wanted to get your honest reaction to this, to Tim, because this is kind of breaking news, but Francisco Lowe was the latest individual to get popped, and I believe he is on a 3-year substantial sort of suspension here. So were you surprised by this information? And should we just start making blind accusations as to who's going to pop next at this point?
Who popped him? Was this an IBJJF pop?
I believe it was an IBJJF pop. Yep.
Yeah, the IBJJF, they pop people every once in a while just to kind of keep the gimmick going. I think that it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I know it's really hard for the American public, even though it's 2025. I felt this way 30 years ago. Most of probably all of your favorite athletes are on performance enhancing drugs. Okay, get over it. That's part of the game. I don't know how to change it. Even with stringent testing, these guys are getting around it. They want it that bad, and we want to watch it. And there's big bucks involved, and they're willing to do it. It is kind of interesting, though, on like the gi jiu-jitsu side. There's not that much bread going into it, but these guys want to win. I'm not surprised. I actually don't think it helps the IBJJF. I think it hurts them because what we'll see Lowe do is just turn around and do a bunch of promotions and probably make more money fighting in organizations that won't test him. So the ban is just going to mean, hey, you can't come do IBJJF. Okay, wow, like that's you're doing some people a favor when you do that. So, whenever the IBJJF does it, it's like, okay, whatever. But it does not surprise me. I'm surprised more guys aren't getting caught.
Some facts here. One, did not know that Lowe is 23 years old, 23, 24.
He's got low T. That's right when you start getting low 24. T.
So he's 24, and his ineligibility started on April 28th, 2025. So normally when you hear about these are retroactive, but this is starting April 28th, 2025, and it's a 3-year suspension. So it means that it will take him through 2028. And depending on when Pans is, right around that time or Worlds. But I always love the description of this because they're using things that you just by and large go like, oh, that's a steroid. I don't know what that means. But I think the intention is make jiu-jitsu better. For me, take drug. So the way they say this always makes me laugh because I try to read it just as a language guy. And it says, Lowe's urine sample was analyzed using a special test known as isotope ratio mass spectrometry, IRMS, that unequivocally differentiates between 19Na, naturally produced by the body, and 19Na of synthetic origin. So now as I start to read the next couple sentences, I just picture that this means that the IRMS agent, if you would, has to call somebody from the IBJJF and be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Hey, have you talked to Lowe yet? Yeah. He's next. We got him. We got him. He was consistent with 19NA. It was out of this world. Shut him down. Like, I don't know. Like, it makes me think, like, that's got to be a super interesting conversation to be either a part of or like, over here.
They have their version of Gordon Ramsay closing the kitchen down. I'm closing it down.
He gets called a donkey 9 times. You donkey! You thought this was going to make you better at jiu-jitsu, you dumb. What is this? I'm putting 2 bread pieces against your, what are you? I don't know. A stupid sandwich. Like, some of the ones that they do like that I said, that's not even a good joke, but the delivery is A+. So props to Gordon for that. So anyway.
Sandwich.
Hold on. Per the rule, Lowell qualified for 1-year reduction to the otherwise applicable 4-year period of ineligibility. So it might have actually been 4 years. And when you think about it, some people really just get 1 year on these things. So his had to be pretty significant to get full.
It was a scheduled test too. Like, how do you fail a scheduled test?
Brother, some of these kids just don't read their shit. So I don't even think it's a surprise. I think they showed up and they're like, we literally talked to you about this 2 days ago. And he's like, what? No.
Oh, he's taking Toronto ball. Okay. T-ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long-term metabolite. It's going to be in your body. This is old school. It's like Danabol. It can be detected for like 60 days in your system. That's how you know these guys are dumb, or they're getting it and their buddies are telling them, or whoever their hookup is telling them it's one thing, but it's something else.
It's just a lab result that will say positive for synthetic substance. Well, hey, way to make it boring, dude. Let's now move to our next topic, which is that of Vegas. You know, Tim and I had a whirlwind time. I was out there for the equivalent of almost, 48-ish hours. Tim, 24. Tim, I'd love to hear one favorite or one quality memory from your experience in Vegas, sir.
Boy, great question. I would have to say probably the best, the production's great. I always love doing that. But I really enjoy, because we don't get it that often, the times when we can sit down when a show's over with, the crew or a group of guys and have some food and talk and laugh and talk about the event, but also just talk about life and hang out in general. Most of the time we're grouped up together. It's go, go, go. It's work. And, we're all kind of wired in a way that says, if I'm done with what I'm trying to do, then I'm going to go see what they need help with. And if that means wrapping cords up or moving a table or, going over there and grabbing something for somebody, like, everybody just pitches in. I really love that work ethic. I mean, I think that's the way to be. So I always appreciate it. But man, it was great kicking back with you guys and eating and talking and getting to know everybody a little bit better. It always warms my heart. So that's probably my favorite memory. My second favorite memory, and I hope I don't take yours, Forgive my bra if I do. But man, I was hoping that the fight of the week this week would be RAF versus the Jackie Chan wannabe limo driver who was quite displeased with RAF's I'm just gonna make up a car, his Hyundai being parked in the limousine space. This guy was livid and would not stop reminding us. And I thought you and him were gonna have a nice little fisticuffs there. I had my camera ready too.
Was not afraid to fight with that man. I'll be very clear with you. I am not a very violent person, but I also, just the background for everybody here, Tim and I are coming to unload. They don't really have directions for us on where to go. There's not like a loading dock. It's a hotel. You have to go up, and then you basically have to go to where we were. And this gentleman, when I was at said place, he was like, "You can't park here." And I go, "Sir, I didn't tell me to park here. Somebody from valet said park here, and I did." And this dude just kept being like, "You can't park here. Do you see it says limos?" And I go, "Great. Again, can't emphasize enough. I didn't put me here." And this dude was, how do I put this nicely? His shirt size was intentionally smaller, not just because it would fit him, but because he was trying to be like power lifter size. So when he was like speaking aggressively to us, I was just like, "Sir, we will be out of your hair in literally 10 minutes. I just need to unload this stuff." And it's already a stressful time. And he's going up to Tim and he's like, "Do you know you can't park here?" And I go, "Are you ever going to stop that? Do you have any other information?" And Tim leaves, and I just go like, "Are you done?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "You keep saying the one thing, and I've already told you multiple times. So I just want to know, is it anything new, or are you done?" And he just kind of grumbled at me, and he was about to start with the, "You know you can't." I was like, "Thank you for proving that." All right, I'm going to see you in about 15 minutes when we're out of here. And the worst part is, this dude was kind of that kind of snitch, if you would, who goes over with anybody else he could make conversation with. "You guys know, these guys can't park here." And these other valet persons, I finally kind of picked it up at the end, were over this dude. And even though they had no reason to like me, became way more sympathetic to the cause and way more like, "Yeah, that dude kind of sucks." Here's the worst part. Egg, you asked the right question. Was the limo driver team hats or glasses? He was just team bitch. There was no hats, no glasses. And I wanted to say suit jacket, but he took off his suit jacket because he wanted to show how yoked he was. But there was a legit moment where I thought, me and this guy might fight. And I'm willing to take that detour because producer Raf fights better than host Raf. Full disclosure. Having said that, I'll just say mine. I really enjoyed a lot from the production this week. There were some great moments all around. Obviously, eating afterwards at that Mexican restaurant and shooting the shit with Keelan and Isaac and Steven and going over what we can improve on the show. Always fun, but I'm a big proponent of, I think a lot of things went right. So one of my actual favorite memories was I told the guys I'd be up and ready in 45 minutes, and we were. Thanks to the help of people like Tim and some other helpers who were doing the best they could to just kind of make things happen. But I remembered looking over at Keelan and saying like, "Yo, all things considered, all things going wrong, all crazy people telling you where you can and cannot park, trying to block us, the haters. They got up there too, and they made it work." So we had some technical issues at the very beginning, but I promise you that pales in comparison to what could have potentially gone wrong if you didn't have the best team in the business. So everybody there pulls their weight and then some. So getting to see Keelan drink a white girl margarita afterwards.
That was great.
I mean, it was bigger than my head, and my head is quite lofty. But seeing him like peruse and sip that gingerly until I told him he had to be positive for 10 minutes and say nothing negative. That dude drank all of the drink in it rather than basically say something nice about the show. And then he finally, after it hit his brain, he said nice things about the show. So that was a lot of my favorite stuff right there. And a nice little moment is Tim and I went to go get donuts afterwards. And we were able to run down some of the relative successes that we did have over the weekend. And I thought, by and large, a pretty successful weekend, considering like Tim and I literally pick him up at the airport, slept at Airbnb, woke up, immediately go to the venue, work, almost fight with Asian dude, don't fight with Asian dude. And there was one security guard, I should say this, where he saw me talking with that Asian dude. And it was when I was asking if I could help anybody else, and we got set up. And he goes, "You still arguing with that limo driver?" And I was like, "Excuse me, sir, come here. Come here." And he's like, "Oh, I'm just kidding." I was like, "No, you're not. And I'm going to tell you why. This dude sucks." And he's giving me a look like I kind of know he sucks. And I was like, no. Don't make the joke, because now I'm pissed off enough to say this. I was like, this dude literally kept saying this to me. And then afterwards, he just kind of sees I'm a little crazy serious. And I go, "By the way, sir, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your help." And he just goes, "Yeah, you're pretty cool, man." I was like, yes, I know. Sayonara, dude. Like, I think you recognized I'm not an insane person, which I guess I kind of am. But that, all things considered, I was just trying to do something relatively easy to finish. By and large, still very good. So our thanks to everybody who helped make that super good. You know, it's not necessarily Tim and I's production baby, but we do feel a sense of ownership and pride in making sure we do a good job there. So I think everybody had a good experience once we got the ball rolling. So let's just say that.
Yeah.
Tim, why don't we get to our fight of the week, sir? So
yes.
that we can start to round here. What do we need to know about this week's low light, highlight fight of the week?
This fight contains a magic jacket. I have never seen a magic jacket. If you've never seen a magic jacket, you need to watch this fight. There is a magic jacket that can start a fight and end a fight. It's kind of like in Greece. I don't know why I always reference this scene, you know, when they're racing in the LA River and in the aqueduct there that's dried out, and they got the two cars and they got the chick, and she like throws the jacket, or I think it's a handkerchief, maybe it's a jacket, but this jacket, it's fascinating to watch, and I'm going to call it out, but it has magical powers. And I think the story is, and I think the rule is, hats versus glasses are one thing. But in the spirit of Vegas, jackets trump hats and glasses. There's just no way, man. When the jacket flies, you better be on the right side.
Well, give me a second here. I want to make sure I'm pulling up the right one, because
that was the
sevens. That one's an old school one that we have here. But when I pull this up here, we will know for sure. Let me just say this, Tim. I love when you pick these things, because I never know what to fully expect. But in this particular case, when you started using the analysis of Grease, the musical, to highlight why we should be excited for a fight, I think of sharks and jets, sort of like people are going to snap their way into scene and start jazz fighting. So I just want to make sure that part's pretty clear on what it is we're kind of looking at in this world.
It's a little more realistic than dance fighting.
You know what? Listen, there's a lot of gang violence that Michael Jackson put an end to via elaborate street jazz. So I'm one for the same here in the cause, but I just want to make sure we're very clear on what the expectation game is here. But nonetheless, I present to you now this fight. Tim, do us a solid. Walk us through this, if you would be so kind.
Okay.
Hold on here real quick. Let me put this back up and going again in 1 second here. There we go. Okay. Let's try that again. You're about to see elaborate jazz street fight in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. We got white shirt guy with black shirt guy. Chick's got the jacket. Watch what happens when the jacket flies. Just watch. Get ready.
Okay.
Buff guy in black t-shirt, buff guy in white t-shirt. Classic matchup. Ref's getting everything set. And here we go. Jacket drops and we go. Black t-shirt guy is swinging for the fences. He overwhelms his part. Look at this. He's going to run him up to the day spa. He's going to put him in the spa like Kevin Sherrill, and then watch. Jacket drops, fight's over.
Okay.
That's enough.
I did
It's
like
a magic.
that one.
How does that happen? Explain that to me. She throws the jacket once. It's on like Donkey Kong. She throws the jacket twice. Fight is over. This is some Manchurian candidate bullshit right here. This is MK Ultra, folks. You can see it right here. It's on display. She trained him with the jacket. His handler drops the jacket. He throws hands. She drops it again. He stops and walks away. If that's not MK Ultra proof, I don't know what is.
Let me take a stab at this. Okay, first things first. I want to give props to the Sean Strickland stunt double over here that is just wearing this white t-shirt. Not the same shade of person, by the way, but this dude who's yelling at him, Anthony Anderson's cousin, is really not feeling him. But this lady's trying to insert herself here to block it off. These are some wild, wild punches that are happening here. And I would love to give some credit here, Tim. I would love to acknowledge the fact that that dude tried running away and throwing a punch at the exact same time. That is a well harnessed skill. Just look at this here. Even as you see it set up one mo again, you definitely have an appreciation for the dude who goes, no. Not only do I not know how to fight, but I'm going to make it worth your while. I'm going to make you watch me whiff. 3, 2, pointing. That only leads to good things. Probably a middle finger that we lost here. Watch this. On the back foot. Looks for it. Looks for something. All right, here we go. Oh, no. And then this poor dude's fucking dentistry that's happening right here is getting a lot of play. No, that's a chef. Sorry about that. And then I love
like
the hand of reason telling her, like, listen, I didn't bust out fucking Dr. Strange's lab coat to just keep you guys fighting the whole time. I use this as a distraction, you goons. Tim, the fact that you had this one ready for us this week is not only magical, but it's a reminder that kids don't go out there and fight people, especially when you're wearing a Vin Diesel white shirt. Like, let it go. Dude. That's the way to approach life. I didn't get into a fight with an Asian limo driver that was being bitchy. The rest of you can take a good lesson from that. Just saying. The last comment we have here for the gallery is going to be one from Egg that just says, I just loved all the competitors' reactions to the whole event. Always great seeing competitors get a feeling for the passion that everyone in the PGF has for the organization. It's true. It is like the end of Scrooge where everybody's in a good mood. So it definitely ends on an upper. 3 Ghost visited Egg, and he came back all the better for it. Tim, do you have any reminders for the people? Tell them where they can find you, good sir.
Yes, you can find me at Inside BJJ, all your favorite social media platforms. I'm going to be kicking that off again. I took a little hiatus. If you're out in Nashville, come see us at 10th Planet Nashville. If you're in Stockton, go see my homies at 10th Planet Stockton. And 2 big shout outs. One is to Helper Sean at the draft. This dude did not know us, and he helped Raf and I set stuff up and move stuff out of that room the whole time. And he's like, man, I'm just happy to help. He was a super cool dude. Thank you, Sean. And then thank you to our Airbnb adoptive Asian parents. We got to crash with an Asian family in a really dope Airbnb setup that I've never experienced before. And I kind of felt like, so this is what it's like to live in a group home. Okay. No, it wasn't it wasn't too bad. I loved it, and it was a fun experience. So great time to see you, Raf. It's always fun to hang out with you, man, and it's always that much better when we could do it in the same room together. I continue to be impressed by your talents and abilities. I think I'm becoming the RAF ESPARZA evangelist. I think the next big preaching campaign I go on is going to be pro RAF ESPARZA. I'm going to get out there and get anointed and start getting the word out, man. You're very, very talented, and I always learn from you. It's always a pleasure, man. So thank you very much.
Very nice of you to say, Tim. And I should really just cut off your mic toward the end. But I appreciate that. That's very cool. I mean, listen, dude, I think we put together a great show for everybody. And if you were watching at home, I think you had a fraction of that feel that we had in that room. There is a reason why all of us thought that's probably the best draft we've seen. And I think it bodes well for the talent and the want. Like the vibe I got from everybody in there is they want it. Like not just the athletes, the foundation of it, the owners want it. The buyers, the first merch team, they want it. All the people there, whether they came for their team or somebody else, they wanted it. Like, it's great to see everybody have this collective belief of why not and why not now. And I want to see that continue to grow because, listen, as much as we have gripes about other organizations or this isn't this or this isn't that, we're all rooting for Team Jiu-Jitsu here. Everybody just has a different philosophy. But this week was unanimously great for Jiu-Jitsu. UFC BJJ got great numbers. So-so event. Andrew Tackett killed it. Period. But having said that, I feel like we just inched ourselves another step closer. We got the characters at the PGF. AIGA has some prestige with the money that they're handing out. Like, literally so much good is happening. So whatever it is you ride for that. And hopefully we'll all be better off for it. But everybody in that room could feel something. So when you guys come back and find what's happening at PGF Season 8 on July 23rd, I think you'll find a lot more. But before then, you're going to see us. And Tim, I'll talk to you a little bit later, sir. But I'll go ahead and close up this bitch. My thanks for your time. Thank you for an incredible week. And way to kill it on the commentary desk. You guys were so good, especially once the proceedings ended and we could hear your analysis. I thought you had some great points about the teams and some great observations. So good work on that, sir.
Thank you.
All right, sir. I'll talk to you later. But for you guys, as a reminder, wherever you're watching this, whether it's inside BJJ or if it is Grappling Hour, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us all that good jazz. We will take all of it because we here like to pride ourselves on doing some good work. And we hope that you like this too. So go like, comment, and subscribe wherever you can. It means a lot to us here. Couple other quick reminders. New episodes of Grappling Hour coming out this week. We got my boy Matthias. That's going to happen on, I think, Tuesday. That episode comes out. He is a local boxer out here that I recently interviewed. Guy is super dope and has been on a tear on both the amateur and the professional circuit. Made his way on over to Mama, and we've got some additional new interviews coming up with some local MMA and jiu-jitsu talent. So look on out for Brian Valle and Adrian Segovia. That is coming up very soon. Those go first to my Patreon users and everybody else. And then starting July 1st, you're going to see my sit-down interviews with all of the individuals from the PGF who came to Media Day. So those are long 10-minute interviews. I know you've seen some other social media stuff go up. That's still going to be happening. We got so much content that day. We're dripping it out. So, but yes, they are exclusive to the Patreon folks. And go to patreon.com/grappling hour if you want to support the show. It really does mean a lot to me. You can even become a free member if you're cheap, because we love the poors, but financially contributing to this show, bigger premium, just, it means a lot. So anyways, friends, countrymen, all that good jazz, I appreciate you for coming on out and hanging out with us today. We respect all you guys. Thank you so much for making it a great past couple days. I think we'll be back here on Tuesday. We will be back for another episode of the Bullpen, and we'll have a more comprehensive review of all things PGF Season 8, especially all the storylines from the draft. And pretty soon, probably going to start seeing some schedules go up. So don't go too far, but we've got some news to cover and tying up some loose ends. And now that we'll have about a week to kind of process everything. But ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here at the Bullpen. Thank you so much for watching. My name's RAF ESPARZA. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.